Hello and welcome to Standupworld. I'm Mike Binder, and I appreciate you listening to another episode, watching another episode, whatever you're doing. I appreciate you taking the time. I have a really good show for you today. I actually recorded this interview a couple weeks ago, but things have been crazy in my life and here in Los Angeles, as you know. So I haven't had a chance to lay it down, but it's here now with a very smart comedian. But first, I want to remind you, this Monday night, Mike Binder and friends at the Laugh Factory with a great group of comics. So get your tickets at the Laugh Factory website. And now I want to tell you about my guest today, a very handsome man, no doubt, but a very fine comedian, a very clever comedian. Bring him on, talk about his new special. Matt Ruby. How are you, man?
I'm great. Good to see you, Mike.
Good to see you. Let me start off by saying I really liked your special, and I want to show just a little piece of it just to get it going, okay?
Sure, let's do it.
I should start off by telling you I'm not one of these comedians who complains about cancel culture, all right? I don't have to worry about that. I'm a progressive guy. I don't say the wrong words. I don't say things like stewardess. I don't say it. I say flight, sex worker, okay, guys? I know what I'm doing, all right? I don't say hooker, I say erection attendant. All right, guys? I'm hip. I'm with it. You know, I don't say homeless people. You don't say homeless people anymore. Now, of course, I say digital nomads. I know, all right? I don't say people with a nut allergy. I say lesbians. All right, guys? You're in good hands. It's all going to work out. All right? Yeah. Boy, but look at us. What, you guys seem in a good mood. Are you on Adderall? You freezing your eggs? What's happening here? I feel like in New York we're all doing one of those two. I'm not on any pills at all. I feel left out, you know. Everyone's on antidepressants or Adderall or boner pills. I'm just walking around sad, distracted, and flaccid.
All right. Congratulations. It's a smart, well-written, well-performed special.
Oh, amazing. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Where'd you shoot it?
New York Comedy Club in New York City, the one on 24th Street.
That's great. And that's where you work a lot, right? New York.
Yeah, I'm based out of New York. I live in Brooklyn. I'm at Comedy Cellar, New York Comedy Club a lot. And and you know, that for the special we kind of brought in a backdrop, so it just didn't look like, you know, typical comedy club night there. So it's got a little bit more of a cinematic vibe than the typical brick wall thing. But yeah, that's where I'm telling jokes most of the time.
And are you do a lot of political stuff? I know you're a very progressive guy, right?
I dispute that.
I'm just say it.
I have a lot of libertarian leanings, and I would describe myself as sort of a Sam Harris, sane, centrist meditation guy. So I think you wind up seeing wackos on both sides. I'm against extremist freaks on whichever side they reside.
Oh man, that leaves me out.
But yeah, I wind up talking about politics a lot, but I try to give it to both sides. I think there's, you know, dumb shit happening everywhere. I try to tell the truth. I try to call it like I see it. I'm a disciple of, you know, like George Carlin, or I know you're a big Bill Burr guy. I feel like the worst thing is if everyone knows exactly what you think before you say it. Like, to me, that's not funny. So you're trying to like tell the truth and like try to be surprising and try to say the thing that other people aren't saying, and, you know, believe it on some level and go from there and make it funny, of course.
and how do you I find, and I haven't played New York in a while, actually, to be honest, but it seems like New York audiences are more open to hearing things that don't fit what their so-called ideology or whatever. They're just open to laughter. Whereas sometimes out here, I got to say, in Hollywood or Los Angeles, you can catch an audience that just wants to hear what they want to hear, and they don't want to hear what they don't want to hear.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I was just in Seattle and was a way more progressive audience than I get like in New York City, which is still fun to play with. I don't mind it. But like, yeah, I think in New York, people don't mind if you get a little bit wild, especially like in the city. You got a good mix of like comedy fans and tourists. And in general, I think what people are seeking when they're gathering at a comedy club, at least when I'm performing in New York, is like don't give me the same shit I see online. I think people are tired of like this sort of fake reality that we're being given on social media and like, online, and like they're kind of like craving for like humanity and someone to say some real shit. And like, yeah, sometimes I'll be like, even if you ask them, do you guys, I kind of want to talk about this wild thing. Do you guys mind? Like they'll cheer for you. They're like, yes, please, finally. They're tired of like the HR department and being told what they can or can't say. They're like, I think that's why they go to a comedy club, is to hear someone say some wild shit. And as long as it's funny, like the thing that I always go with is like, I hate this idea that intention doesn't matter, because I think, of course, it matters. It's like when things get labeled, like a comedy set gets labeled as like hate speech or something. I'm like, this is so dumb. The person was trying to get laughs. Like if the person's in front of a brick wall trying to get laughs, that's a whole different animal than if they're in front of a burning cross wearing a white sheet and saying hateful shit. And like,
Absolutely.
you got to focus on what is the person trying to do. If they're trying to get laughs and they just miss, you got to have some grace with that. And I feel like, what the audiences I perform for tend to have that same point of view, I think.
Well, I absolutely listen. But I also think social media, people in general aren't so ready to be offended. When you're on social media, you're hearing people that just, they need to say something. So I'll give you an example. Last week in the Grammys, which I thought was funny, by the way, Will Smith's kid puts a 50-pound house on his head to get attention. And then Kanye's wife comes around, takes a fur coat off, and she's naked underneath it. And nobody's looking at Will Smith's dumb kid. All of a sudden, it's like, wait a minute. And everybody, the next day, all over X, I would see about how she went too far, and Kanye, and they threw him out or something because, how dare her take her clothes off? And it's like, really? That bothered you that much? She took her clothes off for like a minute and put her coat back on. What's the big deal? You just want to be pissed about something. It's not like, did they shoot somebody? Did they naked the whole show? I don't understand,
I think it's all just like engagement farming. It's like this attention economy where what are the celebrities doing? Where's the outrage? What's the performative moral superiority? What's the thing that's going to make people fight in the comments section? And like, I get it works, must, get them traffic, but I think there's some like toll on our humanity that's happening all along, and that people are like, I don't really care about this. I don't want to fight about this. This is all so dumb. And it's like life, it's like turning life into a video game. And I think people are like craving like actual humanity, which isn't paying attention to that dumb shit all the time.
Well, let me tell you something. That girl had a great body. I was pissed she put the jacket bag on.
Yeah. Well, you got Bezos's wife, at least, so you got some options.
Oh, and that was the other thing. She went to the inauguration, and they were all upset about what she was wearing.
Yeah.
Right there, and it's like, if you weren't talking about, nobody was even looking at her. Nobody even cared, Well,
except Zuckerberg, but yeah, otherwise it seems pretty silly.
Yeah. I just laugh at it all. And today, I don't know if you know what's going on here in Los Angeles today. They've shut down all the freeways.
I didn't know.
They've shut down all the freeways. And, we don't have a subway.
Right.
That's all we got is freeways. So they've basically shut down the city. And I just don't know how it ends, because first of all, right now, they got these people so pissed, they're probably going to just deport them right out of this shutdown. They're just going to go, okay, good. I'm glad you guys came out. Let's go. Get in the bus.
Yeah, like you guys don't got enough to worry about in LA right now. Jeez.
But it's amazing that everything's shut down. Everything.
I didn't even hear about this. All right, I'll look it up.
And I just love it. We're as a country, we're so revved up, and that's why, to me, it's like comedy's a release. Comedy's a great release, and I find, we just did this show Monday night, 2 nights ago, I guess. And it was packed. We did the show for the firemen,
Mhm.
and we just got away with everything. We were just making jokes and saying shit, and you could tell the audience just needed a release.
Sure. Well, especially if there's a bunch of firemen there, I feel like those guys are down for whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like people who have real stakes in their life are fine laughing about shit. It's the people who like never leave their cubicle who seem to be the most uptight about like what you can or can't say.
That's right. That's right. It's pretty nuts. It's pretty nuts. I just I think I get a kick out of now. Everyone's the new thing is like, what's Elon Musk got all this power for? Nobody voted for him. Nobody voted. Yeah. Nobody voted for half of the people that are been running our lives for the last 15 years.
Sure, but people didn't seem super happy about that either. I mean, do we like the deep state or we don't like the deep state? Because isn't he? I know. I mean, like the idea that Elon Musk is the answer when he seems to be like just some ketamine freak who's high on power and just seeing what he can get away with, and his whole life is like a video game. I'm not sure that he's the best solution for us. But
I would rather have one guy that I know. Okay, he's doing it, and he's at least been successful in his life, than all these faceless, nameless people that have decade after decade have failed at everything they've done. Okay, let's give him a shot.
Well, I mean, we'll see, but what he did with Twitter was just sort of completely tank it and not run it in a successful way at all.
That's not true.
From a fiscal standpoint, sure, it's true. I mean, he's accumulated power for himself.
No,
look at what he bought it.
Twitter's making money.
Look at what he bought it for, and look at the valuation of it now. He bought it for $44 billion. Good luck trying to get 20 for it now. If that's running a business successfully, I don't know how business works.
Oh, I think you're wrong. I think you're reading an old headline. I think Twitter's making a lot of.
How are they making money by scaring off advertisers and telling them to go fuck themselves? I mean,
first of all, the advertisers are back. Second of all, Twitter is charging a cover charge. The other social medias are aping him. They're all now talking about paying for verification. He's got so many people paying so many different platforms a month that whereas he's making a fortune now.
I understand what he's attempting to do with Twitter. I challenge the actual success of it, and I'd be happy for us to both fact check this afterwards to see what the valuation of Twitter is now, and if it's more or less than what he bought it for.
Well, I don't know if there's a valuation yet, but I will tell you, he's come in and he's run it on about a tenth of the staff that it was run on.
Yeah, I think he's good at coming in and firing a bunch of people.
And second of all, I think that you just look at where it's going to go. You watch where Twitter's going to go, and you watch. To me, I think it's got a better future than Facebook, or put it this way, than Meta. Maybe not YouTube, but I would bank on Elon Musk a lot more than the people that have been running these faceless bureaucracies and have the country $47 trillion in bankruptcy right now.
Yeah, I'm not cheerleading for what has been happening. I just think we're witnessing what happens when you give the heckler the microphone. And I'm not super optimistic about how that works out, because I've seen what happens in a comedy club. It's easy to heckle. It's tough to get on stage and to actually make it work. So we'll see.
I will just say, I'm glad we're talking about this, because he's not the heckler. That's a bad comparison. The heckler doesn't know what he's doing, has never done anything. This is a guy, and first of all, he's not in charge. Trump's in charge. But Trump, it's not like a heckler is just a drunk idiot. He's done things. He's gone in and fixed things. He's and the people that he's putting in. I'm telling you, these people. I mean, just look at this U.S. aid that they've shut down. It's supposed to be all. The headline is the protest is, they've shut down all the aid around the world. If you had really wanted to do that smart, you'd have kept that lean and mean and just being about U.S. aid. It wouldn't be about $1 million for political subscriptions. It wouldn't be about making musicals in the Ukraine. They let it get so diluted with cheap tricks to funnel money that it could never be anything real and strong and capable. And
yeah, I'm not advocating for what the federal government's been doing. I'm just extremely skeptical that Elon Musk and his cronies are the solution to this. But I guess we'll have to wait, 6 months and see.
My thing is, you keep doing what you're doing, you keep getting what you're getting. And if you're not willing to radically change, you're not going to ever do anything great. And just to go back to stand up, one of the because I was away from stand up for years of my life. I started as a young guy, and I just was obsessed with it. And from the time I was 16, 17 to the time I was 30, and then I was off doing other things, and I've gotten back into it. And I see the same thing. The people that are willing to take risks and to try new things and to constantly go out on thin ice are the geniuses, and the ones that succeed and are great, and the ones that just hold on to their same act constant and need to kill all the time are just going to be in another 28 years still doing the same shit when someone else comes back, and that's what's happened in the world. You gotta say, okay, I'm willing to fail. I'm willing to try new things. I'm willing to shake it all up.
So you'd be okay with Bernie being president then, right?
I would have been until I realized what a phony he is.
Okay. Well,
I actually liked him at one point. Yeah, a lot.
I mean,
but I think
I feel like political conversations. My fear is that they're boring. Like I feel like I don't find them interesting. I like usually when I'm talking with people, I'm kind of like, oh, I can tell what your timeline consists of. The same way like people arguing about like Israel and Gaza, and I'm just like, I feel like I'm just like learning who you follow as opposed to like, are we getting anywhere? Is this a productive dialogue? And like, this is like, because I write this newsletter where I write stuff, and I'm trying really hard to not write about politics because I find it very difficult to be interesting or creative or to have like a fresh take because it's like sucking up so much oxygen from our culture right now. And I'm curious how you feel about that because I know you're a comedy fan and very politically savvy. Is it like, do you feel like now is the time to lean into like be talking about this even more, or in my mind, I'm sort of like, it's almost suffocating already, and I feel even though I think I'm pretty knowledgeable about stuff, but I'm also like, do I really have something to say here that isn't already being said out there, and isn't the job of an artist to try to find some unique lane where you're not just parroting other people's talking points, you're trying to find your unique creative take on a situation of the world. And when it comes to politics, I'm not sure I have that right now. I'd rather like look at my own life or other places, and it's a challenge that I'm facing in my like sort of creative output right now. So I'm curious how you feel about that.
Well, it's funny because I'm the opposite of you. I didn't feel that until recently. I do talk. I'm obsessed with the craft and the art and the history of stand-up comedy.
Sure.
And I like to write about that, and I like to talk about that. But I do have a lot of strong political leanings. But I feel like now is a great time to talk about that on stage and think, because and I'm not so much talking about politics as I'm talking about a need for change, a need for the ability to be authentic and just, shake stuff up and not.
Yeah.
I'm not repeating anyone's timeline. I'm talking about what I feel. I'm talking about what I see when I see people from both sides, but mostly right now, I feel so much fear from the Democrat. I was a Democrat for years, and I feel so much fear from them that they're losing power. And because rather than saying, hey, you know what? Let's be open to try something new. What we're doing isn't working. And I think that's the same thing as an artist. You have to be always open to try something new. As I've been trying stuff new my whole life, different writing and directing and acting. And it just, I've tried to be really fluid. And I feel like right now is a time to, be open to change.
All right. I mean,
And by the way, that's why I like Bolo. I thought you were playing with what you can say and what you couldn't say.
Yeah.
I was surprised that, here, you had a thing. I'm going to show you something.
Like when I was a little kid, I called queer a lot. And I'll let you know, I did not feel like I was part of an alliance. We didn't have all these disorders. There were only 4 disorders. You were a spaz, a dork, a retard, or a queer. That was it. Eventually, they came around and just told us all, like, queer, that's a hateful, hurtful term. Never say it. And we processed that. We're like, okay, we'll never say the word queer. And that went on for decades. And then a few years ago, that flipped. And all of a sudden, people are like, are you a queer ally? It's like, I don't know. This feels like a trick question. What the hell? If you're young, imagine this. Imagine just 15 years from now, someone came up to you just dripping with condescension and was like, do you think we should support the retards? I guess so. I was like, I don't think you're supposed to say it like that, though. But maybe I'm behind the times. Yeah, I'm a tard ally. I'm one of the good ones. Yeah, I'm a tardophile. Come on.
The reason I wanted to show that was, why would you delete that scene? Why that was great. I love that.
Thank you.
And I love that. And I don't know. I haven't gone to Punch Up and seen the part that you wouldn't. But to me,
all right, let me just stop you right there. It's just YouTube monetization. I got my last special was shadow banned by YouTube because of drug related content and squashed the views on it. And so now I'm like trying to obey the algorithmic gods so they don't make me lose money again on a special.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, even something like that, they
I mean, talk to Fahim about it. He used the word faggot, and they demonetized him. And I have other friends, same stuff happened to. So I'm just trying to whatever their rules are, play within the bounds of that bullshit. But yeah, I personally I like the joke. I think it's funny. If it's up to me, I would have left it.
See, that's why you should put your special up on X, Matt.
Yeah, are they going to pay me?
Yeah.
X is going to pay for views. All right, I'll put it up there.
Yeah, people are making a lot of money on X. I don't know what I don't know what's in your feed, but you're missing out on X.
Yeah,
and Rumble and I mean, there's other ways. I didn't realize that. But my point is, let's not go off under that. My point is, that's great comedy to me.
Thank you.
And that's pushing, but
sure.
it's but there's that whole world about what we're all uptight about and
sure.
who's different and what, I like, you said, I'm a big Burr fan. To be honest, I was a big Burr fan. I'm not that big fan of his anymore. I mean, I think he's a genius, but yep. I feel like he's afraid to throw punches. He's I don't know what he's doing. I think he wants to. He's just playing. He's just playing too close to the crowd.
I know what you're saying. And I certainly wouldn't put words in his mouth, but I think I guess part of my I don't like being part of any tribe. I don't want anyone to think, oh, he's on our team. This is our spokesman. This is our group. And like and I sense that from Bill Burr too. He's like sort of like, oh, don't make me your champion. I'm not anybody. And this is what I think was brilliant about Carlin. Is not like that people from both sides post Carlin bits and like, see, he was one of us. Like that's, to me, that's proof he was none of you. He was trying to do his own thing. He was speaking for himself. And I think, so that's why I'm speaking up against, sort of that tribalist thinking, which I see on both sides, honestly. And like, I think, this sort of extremist and my side's right and your side's wrong. And then you got to you have to reverse engineer everything into your worldview to justify the things that you already think. To me, is just like super dangerous, and groupthink and tribalism and all the stuff that like kind of, I come from like a rock and roll background. I'm just like, screw that. I don't want to be part of anyone's tribe. I'm trying to be rock and roll out here. I'm trying to like speak what I think is the truth. And if I see bullshit somewhere, whoever's saying it, I'll try to call them on it. And, and also that can change over time. Maybe you say something once and then like a few years later, you feel differently about it. You can keep growing and evolving too. But I just think it's dangerous right now to how much everything needs to fit into this like sort of binary, like left right column, to me is like super reductive. And I go back to the Israel and Gaza thing a lot because my dad's from Israel, and it's just like I hear the people on both sides talking. I'm like, you both sound insane. This is so complicated and nuanced and requires depthful conversation. And when you try to shrink it down to just a sound bite and be like, here's the truth, then there's no complication here. I was like, I think you're kind of being lazy. You're either ignorant or lazy or just like can't process like how complicated shit is, and that there isn't just always easy answers. And we got to like get into the weeds with shit if you really want to have a conversation about it, or just don't go there. But like I like the tribalism of it all, to me is like it's just something I'm personally allergic to, I guess.
Well, so going back to this other thing, so are you only on YouTube with your special?
I mean, I post clips on all the social media channels, and I honestly, like, I kind of was like, hasn't only been up for a couple weeks. So yeah, in the next months, if wherever, Facebook or X or wherever else I can post it, I'm down for having as many people see it wherever they want to see it as possible.
Do you post on Rumble?
I've never checked out Rumble.
You should check out Rumble. You should check out X. You should, I think, there's a lot of other places. And I also think I personally feel like God, I'm surprised. And again, I could be wrong. I don't know what I'm saying, but that to me, I would have waited for YouTube to tell you, because that was just funny. It wasn't. It didn't feel like offensive. It didn't feel like. It felt like you were an ally. You were saying you were. It was.
Yeah. No, it's a good bit. It's also, it's like, I had to trim stuff out of the special anyway, so yeah. I just didn't want to like. And honestly, like these
there's a lot of good bits in the special. So you're right. You're right.
I appreciate it, and it's also like these algorithms, the power they have over us now is like so crazy that I'm just like, okay, like because the last special I put out was called Substance, and it's me doing 4 sets, 1 high, 1 drunk, 1 on shrooms, and 1 sober.
Yeah, I know.
And it's documentary stuff leading up to each one of those sets. And it's great. I've done screenings. People like really, really enjoy it, and they think it's strong. It's actually like kind of interesting. It says a lot about drugs and society right now. But they demonetized it for drug related content, and I protested, and they put it back up, but then the views just completely flatlined, and just like already in 3 weeks this new special has more views than that one had. And so I'm like, okay, I spent years of my life and all this money producing something I think is really good, and then they just, in like the snap of a finger, some robot is like, no, don't show that to anyone. And I'm just like, for my own personal sanity, I couldn't go through that again. So I was just like, okay, if I'm on the fence here, I'm just gonna take it out. I put a Punch Up Live. You can see the unedited version, and then I get to like collect your emails and have a way to communicate with you in the future and sell tickets. And so but yeah, I mean, all this online stuff is, it's.
Do you think it is a person, or do you think it's just like you say, a robot that just?
I think it's just a robot, and or someone flags it, or I think they're very sensitive about drug related content because like government can come after them if there's some guy, taking shrooms on camera. I don't know. I literally don't know. But like, we have some
YouTube, if
bizarre
you're
sort of
listening right
censorship
now,
regime.
go fuck yourself. We're both higher than a kite. I shot up right before this, and I can
Nice.
see he's doing lines of cocaine. Okay, and we both hate the government and plan on taking out a few federal officers.
All right, now you're flirting with it. There you go.
Oh man,
Algorithm. I have no idea what he's talking about.
algorithm.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's crazy. All right, listen, man, you got a great special. You know what you're doing.
I appreciate it.
You've been doing this a long time.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah. You listen. Bolo's great though, and maybe it's good to have deleted scenes and stuff that you can play other places.
A little bit. And I appreciate that coming from you too. It's like, I think I first discovered you through the Comedy Store documentary and have followed your stuff then. And I feel like you're like a straight shooter on like what's good comedy and what's not, and what's funny, and caring about jokes in the craft, and not really giving a shit about what's buzzing in the industry or any of that crap. So I especially appreciate the kind words coming from you, because I know.
Yeah, my thing is I only write about things that I think are good. I've been doing this now a couple of years. I've only written 2 things that I thought were bad, and one was because someone who I really liked, I thought they just walked through it, and one that I thought was just such a stupid reason for a miss. And but mostly, if I don't like something, I don't talk about it. I never trash anything.
Totally.
I talk about the things that are good. And why they're good. And I try to, I want to be supportive of the industry, of the craft.
Sure. And champion what you like.
And I have this community I'm just starting to build now on X. It's a stand-up world. And I believe in X. I think a lot of people have just made their decision on it based on politics. And I think it's going to be the number one best way to combination of all the social media platforms to build followings, to get work out, and to promote live shows. I think it's going to be fantastic. So yeah, I'm on it, and I'm building a community.
Yeah, I think sometimes just picking a lane too is the smart move. Like I've been big into Substack lately because, I like owning the audience of people who are giving me their email addresses and knowing I'm going to wind up in their inbox, and, having a relationship with people, as opposed to relying on any of these social media platforms or these billionaires or the algorithm or whatever. Like the more you can have a direct relationship with your audience, I think the better off you are. So that's why I've been into Substack and doing, Punch Up Live has a similar thing. But yeah, like to me, that's been where I've been focusing my online presence lately.
All right. Well, good luck with Bolo.
I appreciate it, Mike. Thank you for saying nice things and noticing it. Yeah, man.
Really nice talking to you, and hope to see you again soon sometime.
Sounds good. All right.
And don't drive around Los Angeles today.
I'll stay away. I'll stay in Brooklyn. I think I'm safe.
Okay, good. You're good, at least for today.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Matt.
Bye.
All right, Matt Ruby. Check him out, Bolo. And don't forget, Monday night at the Laugh Factory. Got a good show put together and a couple great guest stars coming in. So go to the Laugh Factory website and get your tickets. And this episode will be up here soon. Apple, Spotify, YouTube, X, Substack, and standupworld.com. All under the Stand Up World banner, which is known by dozens around the planet. Thanks for coming again. Really appreciate it. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Thanks. Episode 87 in the bin. Love you.